Welcome to our Monday evening chair yoga class. My name is Paul. I instruct a class every Monday evening, and with the coronavirus that has struck around the world over the last few weeks, things have changed, and we're going to be doing this class online this evening rather than in a studio as we would normally do it. We probably do need to speak a little bit about the coronavirus, and what I would like to say about it is that yoga certainly is no cure. Yoga certainly is no miracle solution. However, yoga certainly can be beneficial. Of that I am in no doubt. This virus disease is a respiratory disease. In other words, it attacks the breathing tissues, breathing mechanisms in the body. For many people, the symptoms will be very, very minor, and some people probably not even any symptoms whatsoever. In other people, the symptoms will be a little bit more severe. You may feel something similar to a heavy dose of flu. In rare cases, the lungs themselves will be affected, and if they are affected, then those symptoms will be very severe and very unpleasant. Because what this virus will then do, it will cause damage to the lung tissue itself, and the body will respond to that damage by trying to treat the damage as though it was perhaps some pollutant that you've inhaled, and it will release fluids into the lung tissue itself. Now, in the normal course of events, you have a mechanism to expel fluid. There's tiny little microscopic hairs that will gradually brush fluid out of your lungs, and then that fluid will rise up in the trachea and spill over into the esophagus. You will swallow that fluid, it will go into your stomach, and it will be destroyed. But if the rate of release of fluid is greater than the rate at which your body can clear that fluid, then the fluid will actually build up in these tiny microscopic air sacs that are essential for lung functioning, and you will suffocate. That symptom is referred to as pneumonia. In this case, it's pneumonia caused by a virus. More often, pneumonia is caused by a bacterium, but either which way, it's the same thing that's happening in your body. Your lungs are gradually filling up with fluid. One of the things that yoga has been demonstrated to be very effective at is helping to improve lung function, helping to improve quality of life with people who have impaired lung function, and to be in many ways effective as a complementary treatment. And for that reason, I think it is appropriate that we spend the next couple of sessions learning about yogic practices that can assist in this way. In the unlikely event that anybody watching this does develop pneumonia, having well-trained lungs that are functioning optimally and being able to use your full lung capacity might just be the difference between getting put onto a ventilator or not. Or it might be the difference between being hospitalized, having to be hospitalized, or not. And given that these things are incredibly safe, these practices, there's no harm, I think it makes very good sense to spend a little bit of time working on improving our lung function. And that breaks down into two areas. The one is breathing training, or pranayama, and there's two exercises this evening that I want to introduce. The other involves postural work, so that you make sure that your body itself is not constraining your lung capacity. So the pranayama will help you to use your entire lung, will help to build the muscle fitness, and the muscle coordination that you require for effective breathing using your entire lung. And the postural exercises will help to ensure that your posture is not such that you are physically restricting the space available in your chest cavity for your lungs to work optimally. So those are really the two things that we're going to be working on this evening. The first of the breathing training or pranayama practices that we're going to be doing this evening is probably the most basic of all pranayama practices. And that is what's referred to as full yogic breathing, or sometimes as full three-part breathing. And it really involves training yourself to use your entire lung capacity. Most of us, when we're breathing normally, tend to breathe really only from the upper part of our lungs. We tend to use our chest muscles. We tend to use we do use the diaphragm to pull down, to allow air into the chest cavity, a little bit like a syringe pulling down, a plunger of a syringe pulling down. It creates a negative pressure and fluid runs into that syringe. It's the same with lungs. As your diaphragm moves down, it creates a negative pressure in this syringe, or piston if you like, so cylinder with a piston, and that draws air into the lung. And then as your diaphragm relaxes, it rises again, a bit like a piston rising in the cylinder, or like the plunger of a syringe, and that pushes out the air that was in that cavity. And that's essentially the way your lungs work. But most of the time, we tend to draw that syringe plunger only part of the way down, or we tend to draw that piston only part of the way down, and we tend to breathe only from the upper part of our chest. And it is important to learn to breathe with our entire lung capacity. So we want to return to the way a baby begins to breathe. Babies tend to use their entire lung capacity. It's a technique known as belly breathing. Singers will know this as diaphragmatic breathing. Various traditions will do the same thing and call it different things, and they're probably all equally effective. But for now, let's call it belly breathing. And all it does is involves focusing on pulling your diaphragm muscles so far down that the abdominal organs have to make space for the diaphragm and the lungs to fill part of the abdominal cavity. So as the diaphragm moves down, you want your belly to pooch out, simply to make space. You're not really breathing into your belly or from your belly. It's just that that's what it feels like, because your abdominal organs need to move somewhere. So the first stage of three-part yogic breathing involves belly breathing, and involves just inhaling so deeply that your belly needs to pooch out. And there's no harm in pushing your belly out as well, just to help you focus on your belly and focus on what that feels like. So for a couple of moments, let's just breathe into our lungs, all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, and allow our bellies to pooch out. And as we exhale, allow our bellies to return to normal, expel all the air from our lungs, and then even expel the last little bit of air out from our lungs by pulling back with our abdominal muscles. So you can think about your belly button being pulled back almost to touch your spine, just to squeeze the last little bit of air out of your lungs. So for a couple of minutes, let's just do that. Just breathe with me into your belly. In through the nose, let your belly pooch out. Out through your nose, sucking your belly button against your spine. In through your nose, pooching out your tummy. Out through your nose. If it helps, you can place your hands on your tummy, that you can start to feel that movement of your tummy as your breath, as you inhale and as you exhale. If you prefer for your hands just to lie gently on your thighs, that's fine too, whatever works for you. just get into this habit or this pattern of breathing all the way to the bottom of your lungs. And on your next inhalation, just as soon as your belly is as full as it can be, I want you to expand your chest and possibly your back so that you're opening up your rib cage as far as it'll go. Let some more air into your upper thoracic cavity. And as you exhale, release that air from your chest first and then from the bottom of your lungs. Sucking that last little bit of air out by pulling in your abdominal muscles. Into your tummy, into your middle chest, out from your middle chest, out from the tummy. Keep that two-part breathing going for a couple of moments. And if it's helpful, you can put your hands on your chest to feel your chest expanding in that second phase. And on your next inhalation, as soon as your belly is full and your chest is full, I want you to gulp in a last little bit of air and store it almost under your collarbones, right at the top of your lungs. And at that point, your lungs are really at 100% capacity. So into the belly, into the chest, and in right at the top of your chest. Release it from under your clavicle. Release it from your chest. Release it from your belly. Push out that last little bit of air from the bottom of your lungs. And repeat. Into your belly. Into your chest. Into the upper part of your chest. And now begin to integrate those three movements into one continuous movement, filling your entire lung. Keep going with that while I explain the next pranayama. It's a practice called Bhastrika, also known as bellows breath. As I propose doing it here, it is a very gentle form of Bhastrika. Normally, when we do the three-part yogic breathing, the intention is to slow down our breathing and to especially slow down the exhalation, because that has a very calming effect. And certainly in the context of a high stress environment, such as we're all facing with coronavirus, using it to unwind and to relax and to calm ourselves is extremely helpful. One of the things that is true is that the stress response tends to neutralize our immune system. So if our bodies are holding on to a lot of stress, we tend to get sick more easily because our immune system is not working properly. On the other hand, if we can consciously learn to relax, to manage stress better, to switch off the body's stress response, you're giving your immunity the best possible chance to fight off an infection, which would include something like this coronavirus, or the flu, or colds, or any other sickness. So it is important to use this three-part full yogic breathing to relax. But the reason I'm introducing Bhastrika is for a different purpose. I want us to use it to assist those little hairs that brush out fluid from the lungs the whole time, brush out dust, brush out smoke, brush out any other pollutants. I want us to assist them by exhaling forcefully. So, if you like, it's almost similar to a controlled cough. The purpose of a cough is to help expel that fluid that's coming out of your lungs. Except that with Bhastrika, what I want us to start doing is have a very slow motion cough that starts all the way at the bottom of the lungs, and you develop this air movement, this forceful air movement, which helps to push the fluid up and eventually out of the lungs. So, unlike the normal relaxing full yogic breathing, this simply involves exhaling slightly more forcefully than normal. Bhastrika can be used in a very much more aggressive form, but I don't think that's wise for us to do that right at the moment. Let's just use it just to increase the air pressure as we're exhaling, just to forcefully exhale. So at this stage, we're not too worried about slowing down. In fact, we're not worried at all about slowing down the exhalation. We are worried about forcing the air out of our lungs. So breathe in as you would normally, as you've been doing, fill your lung capacity completely, and then on your exhalation, just use your muscles to drive the air out of your lungs rather more rapidly than you would otherwise do. And use your abdominal muscles to squeeze that last little bit of air out of your lungs. Breathe in again as you have been doing, and exhale forcefully. The important thing with this is that the only muscles that you need to worry about are the ones involved in breathing. You don't need to get your shoulders involved. You don't need to get your whole body involved. Keep your body relaxed. Just work with your breathing muscles. Don't worry if you cough as I did. That's simply a little bit of that fluid being expelled. It's perfectly normal, it's perfectly healthy, and that's actually what we're trying to achieve. So that is Bhastrika, and that is about as aggressive as I think we need to do it at this stage. Just keep practicing that. I suggest Bhastrika possibly in the mornings, because it is quite a stimulating breath. You'll feel awake and alert and vibrant. Whereas you might want to practice the relaxing full yogic breathing, slowing down the exhalation. You might want to do that in the evening, or perhaps when you're feeling stressed and you feel the need to calm down. So for the next few minutes, just practice Bhastrika with me, and then we'll move on to the rest of the session. Well done. Just allow your breathing to return to normal. Just breathe organically, relax, and just allow your body to feel whatever it's feeling after that exercise. And in a moment, we'll carry on with the asana part of the practice. In the pranayama part of our practice, we were focusing on training the breathing muscles and specifically training ourselves to coordinate those muscles and to be able to use our full lung capacity. However, just as important is working on posture, making sure that our rib cage is not constrained, that we're not hunched over forward or sideways or back or doing something strange that is preventing our lungs from operating at their full capacity simply because our thoracic cavity is not in the shape that it should be, or is not in the volume that it should be. So we're going to be working a little bit this evening on some exercises that are designed to help with posture and help with keeping that thoracic cavity as wide open as it possibly can be. And almost certainly the most important of those poses or asanas is Tadasana, or the mountain pose. Now this is a chair yoga class this evening, so I'm demonstrating the seated version of Tadasana rather than the standing version. But either which way, they're both important. And I think for people that tend to work in an office environment, the seated version of Tadasana is arguably even more important than the standing version, because we spend more time seated. Start with your feet. Move your feet parallel with one another, approximately hip width apart, and keep them facing directly forward. Have a look at your ankles and make sure that your ankles are directly below your knees so that your shins are vertical. You want to be sitting in a chair such that your thighs are roughly parallel with the ground. If your chair is too high, you might want to consider putting a block under your feet just to raise your feet slightly. If your chair is too low, you might want to consider a slightly higher chair. Keep your knees also approximately hip width apart. They should be directly above your ankles, so that everything is straight from your toes all the way up through your ankles, through your knees, through to your hips, that everything is nicely aligned. Keep your back straight. Many of us have a tendency to lean one side or the other. I know I do. Often that is a consequence of working at a desk. We tend to work with perhaps our right hand on the desk and our left hand relaxed or doing something else. And inevitably that tends to push us over to one side. I know that I have that problem. So if you see me tilting over to the one side, I'm aware that I do have that issue. It's something that I need to work on. And if you see me tilting over to the one side, just use it as a reminder to yourself to make sure that you're not making the same mistake. It can be helpful to photograph yourself sitting or to sit in front of a mirror just to get a sense of what you do, because this kind of thing is something that we're usually not aware of. Or if you can, get a friend or a partner to tell you when you're not sitting up straight. So sit up straight, keep your shoulders relaxed, keep them back, not hunched forward. Hunching forward immediately starts to constrict our rib cage. Keep our shoulders back, that tends to open up our rib cage. It might be helpful to sit a little bit forward from the back of the chair, just to allow your spine to support your body rather than the chair back to support your body. Tuck your chin in such that your neck is not pushed forward. I'm just going to move sideways so that you can see what I'm talking about. You don't want your neck to be pushed out forward because your head is very heavy. If your neck is pushed forward, these muscles here are doing an awful lot of work to support the weight of your head. You don't also want to tilt your head backwards because that's doing all sorts of strange things to your airways. You want to push your chin a little bit back so that your head is physically moved, your whole head is moved back without tipping it up or tipping it down. So you want to bring your head back. Somebody has described this as you want to hold, or imagine that you're holding a ripe tomato under your chin. And that's probably a good way of thinking about it. So keep your shoulders back, keep your spine erect, keep your neck as an extension of your spine, and keep your head vertically above your spine. And what you probably should be feeling is that your chest is wide open. You may find it a little bit strange initially. You may well find that there's unusual strain on your lower back. That's perfectly normal, and that's what we're trying to work with. If you were not feeling strain on your lower back, that probably would imply either that your posture is excellent and that those muscles are already well trained, or it could imply that you're not actually sitting up straight. So sit up straight. Keep everything nice and erect. Keep your head directly balanced above your spine. So there's a vertical line running from your earlobe all the way down through to your hip bones. And in that way, at least in theory, there should be very little muscle tension required to support your body. Your spinal column should be doing that supporting. Allow your arms just to rest on your hands just to rest on your thighs. You can have it palms down, palms up. I prefer palms up simply because that helps me to open my shoulders. If my palms are down, I tend to round my shoulders forward. But that's really up to you. Some people are more comfortable to let their arms rest up to the sides like that. That's also fine. But whatever's comfortable for you. The important thing is keep your back straight, keep your shoulders back, keep your head directly above your spine, and keep your chest open. And that is Tadasana, the mountain pose. It's called mountain pose, not because it looks like a mountain, but because it has the stability of a mountain. And once we've mastered the Tadasana, we're going to move into 2 warm-up exercises, because a lot of the work we're going to be doing is going to involve the spine itself. If our spine and the muscles supporting the spine are not working properly, our posture almost certainly cannot be good. So what I'm going to propose is that you scoot forward a little bit in your chair so that you're away from the chair back. I'm going to ask Merlin to move forward just a touch so that I can get my feet into the Tadasana position. And we're going to start off with a warm-up exercise, working with lateral movements, side-to-side movements of our back, our spine. And the idea is not to compress our spine, the idea is to stretch our spine as we go sideways. So I want you to imagine that there's a pane of glass in front of you, a pane of glass behind you, and the only permitted movement is side to side. So what we're going to do is start off from Tadasana, inhaling as we raise our arms above our head. We're going to be dropping our right arm and stretching up with our left arm as we bend over to the right. So as you exhale, drop your right arm and stretch up and over with your left hand. And you should feel a stretch all the way from your hip, all the way up your arm to your fingertips. Keep your hip on the chair, nice and square on the chair. You're not moving your hip. You're not trying to get onto the one hip bone. You want to keep your hip nice and balanced. The whole idea here is to stretch all of these muscles just to warm them up. Okay, so let's start that again. From Tadasana, inhale, bend over to the right. Stretch, don't compress. Inhale, back to the center. Stretch to the left. As we exhale. Inhale, back to the center. Stretch to the right. Inhale to the center. Stretch to the left. Inhale to the center. Stretch to the right. Inhale to the center. Stretch to the left. One last set. Inhale to the center. Stretch to the right. Inhale to the center. Stretch to the left. Inhale to the center. Exhale back to Tadasana and relax. An important point when you're doing this exercise is not to get your shoulders involved. When you're reaching up, the idea is to keep your shoulders relaxed. You're stretching up from almost as though somebody's lifting you from your armpits. You're not trying to pull your hands up, because that's just tightening up your chest, and that's just tightening up your shoulders, and that's not what we want to achieve. That will have the effect of compressing your chest. We want to keep the chest as wide open as possible. So we're trying to lengthen our spine, not compress our shoulder mechanism. Okay, so as you stretch up, it looks like that, not like that. Alright, if you're feeling a bit of tension in your lower back, you're welcome just to wriggle, swing it out, swing your hands from side to side, do whatever you need to do just to release some of that tension that might have been building up into your lower back. Right, we're going to be doing something very similar now, but we're going to be warming up a different set of muscles, again, in those that support our spine. We're now going to be doing spine twists. And just as we imagined a pane of glass in front of us and behind us when we were doing the lateral bends, I now want us to imagine that there's panes of glass all the way around us, and all we're doing is rotating the spine. We're not bending it in any direction. So our spine stays vertical, our head stays above our spine. There's a straight line running all the way down to the hip, and that straight line is maintained. All we're doing is twisting. So as we did with the lateral bends, we inhale as we raise our arms, and this time as we drop our right arm, I want you to drop it behind your back, and I want you to drop your left arm to the outside of the right thigh. And as we're doing that, we're going to be twisting our spine, so we're looking out over the right shoulder, and keep the spine vertical. It's just a twist. Okay, so we inhale as we go up, exhale into the twist. Inhale up, exhale to the other side. You can use your right hand to help deepen the twist if you need to. Inhale, arms to the center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, arms to the center. Exhale to the left. And we do another 3 of these to each side. Whatever you're doing, keep breathing. And keep breathing deeply. I think this is the last set coming up. Inhale to center. Exhale back to Tadasana. And relax. As before, if your back is feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit tight, just fidget a bit, work it loose, swing your arms about, whatever you need to do, just to release some of that tension. If you're not feeling any tension, just stay in Tadasana and breathe deeply. We're now going to go into a sequence of asanas. I like sequences, they feel good, and they're less stop-start than the way we normally do individual asanas. Asana just basically refers to a pose, or if you like, a physical exercise. The sequence that I'm proposing, again, starts in Tadasana, and it also starts with raising our arms above our heads. However, this time I want us to do a very gentle back bend to start with. So we keep everything erect. I don't want you to throw your body back. I want you to keep it as a very controlled movement. So as you raise your arms, I want you to tighten up your abdominal muscles, these ones here in front. If you are struggling to find those muscles, maybe as you do a back bend, leave your arms on your tummy and just feel which muscles are tightening. What you want to do is feel these muscles tighten, not those muscles. So perhaps just do that initially. Put your hands on your tummy, keep your head erect and above your spine, and just bend back slightly. And what you want to do is feel these tummy muscles tightening up. You can also even pre-tighten them before you go back, just to give you some control. You don't have to go excessively far. The idea is just to do it just so you can start working those muscles. Alright, so we start off by raising our arms. As you inhale, exhale into a slight back bend. Inhale back to the center. Now as we exhale, we're going into a forward fold. So all we're going to do is just drop our arms and slowly float forwards. There's no prizes for how far. Just go down. The idea is to start putting a bit of pressure on your tummy against your thighs. I've got the microphone transmitter here, so I'm a little uncomfortable, but hopefully it'll be easier for you. Right, so we've done our back bends, come back to the center, we inhale back to the center, exhale into a forward fold. Now we're going to go twisting. We're twisting but staying in forward fold position. If you like, you can put your right hand ankle or left foot, and I'm going to be twisting. Raise the left arm at that arm. As we exhale, to center. Exhale to the other side. As we inhale. Exhale back to center. I think I got the exhale thing wrong. So let's just go through that sequence again. So we start with inhale, exhale, back bend. Inhale, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left twist. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale. Exhale. Back to fold. Now I want you to reach forward as we inhale. Reach forward with your arms. Pull them out of your shoulder sockets as far as they'll go. Raise your chin slightly and push your chest forward. So you're still keeping your bottom on the chair. You're still supporting your weight with your legs, but you're reaching forward as far as you possibly can. You're opening up your chest here. Exhale back to forward fold. That's the sequence. Then we come back to arms above our heads and we start over again. So let's do the sequence one more time. Just watch me, work with me, and then I'll let you do 5 of them on your own, in your own time. Alright, so starting off in Tadasana. Inhales, we raise our arms above our heads. Exhale, back bend. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. In twist. Exhale. Fold. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stretching forward. Exhale. Hold. Inhale, arms above our heads. Alright, let's do 5, another 4 of those. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, arms to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left twist. Center, forward fold. Exhale, back to forward fold. Inhale, stretching forward. Exhale, back to. Inhale, arms above our heads. Another 3. Exhale, back bend. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left twist. Exhale, forward fold. Now right twist. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stretching forward. Exhale. Forward fold. Now sitting up straight with the hands above our heads. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left twist. Exhale, forward fold. Exhale, back to forward fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, back to forward fold. Inhale, arms above our heads. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, forward fold. Right twist. Stretch forward. Left arms above our heads. Back bend. Forward fold. Left twist. Above heads. Back bend. Arch down. Forward fold. Twist. Stretch forward. Arms above heads. And exhale back to Tadasana. And relax. Again, wriggle, stretch, massage your back, do whatever you need to do to release the tension. The last of the asanas before we cool down is a seated variation of a pose called the cobra pose. It's not a sequence as we've just done it, it's a single asana, and it involves reaching behind you to grab the chair back. So I still think it's probably a good idea to be scooted a little bit forward in the chair, not all the way to the back. But if you can't reach, then maybe move a little bit back on your chair, just that you can comfortably grab the chair back behind you. And all we're doing now is doing something similar to what we did when we were stretching forward. We're now pulling back against our shoulders, and you're taking some of your body weight here. You're opening your clavicles, you're opening this part of the chest by putting pressure against your body weight, against your arms which are connected to the chair back. Lift your chest, lift your chin, and just hold that for a couple of seconds. So from the neutral position, inhale into that stretch. Stretch as far as you can. Exhale back to neutral. And we do that another 4 times. Inhale, stretch as far as you can. Lift your chin a bit. Push your chest forward. Exhale. Another 3. 2. Last one. and back to asana, Tadasana, and relax. With this stretch, you can also hold the stretch and breathe in and out a few times in that stretch. That's also perfectly fine. In general with yoga, the important thing is that if you find yourself uncomfortable enough that you can't breathe comfortably or that you can't enjoy breathing, you're probably pushing a little bit too hard. Just back off a bit until you can breathe comfortably. And especially with these exercises that we're doing tonight, the whole point is to enhance your ability to breathe. So keep breathing and keep smiling. That's not something I do very easily, but it's important. All right, so we're still in Tadasana. We're now going to be doing one last set of asanas, and that's just a cool down exercise. We've been doing quite a lot of work on our lower back, and this is now starting to work the rest of our back, just to ease some of the tension that might have been building up in those lower back muscles and the abdominal muscles. And these are probably amongst the most famous of the yoga poses, the cat and cow stretch. Just turn your hands palm down on your thighs if that's comfortable for you. Start off in Tadasana. Scoot a little bit forwards in your chair if you are against the back of the chair. And the cat pose is exactly what it sounds like. You're trying to arch your back just as a cat tends to arch its back. So as you exhale, round your back, suck your belly button in under your rib cage if you can, tuck your chin in and get as much curvature of your whole spine as you can. And then when you inhale, come back to a neutral position again. Spine nice and straight, neck as an extension of your spine. And then we move into the cow pose, which is exactly the opposite. This time we're curving the spine again, but in the opposite direction. We're curving it so that your chest is pushing out forward. So as we did earlier, raise your chin, tuck your chest out, but this time you're actually curving your spine all the way from the lower back, trying to create a long curvature all the way from your base of your skull to the top of your hip bones. And exhale back to neutral. Inhale, exhale cat. Inhale back to neutral. Exhale cow. Inhale back to neutral. Exhale cat. Inhale back to neutral. Exhale cat cow. Inhale to neutral. Exhale cat. Inhale neutral. Exhale cow. Inhale to neutral. Exhale cat. Cow. Sorry, cat. Inhale to neutral. Exhale for cow for the last time. Inhale to neutral. And return to Tadasana. And relax. And if you need to, again, just wriggle out your spine, twist from side to side. Do whatever you need to do to work out tensions. This is the point in our yoga sessions where we would normally do a meditation exercise. I strongly recommend a set of guided meditations by Mark Williams. I will give a link to some of those meditations in the notes below. If you do not wish to download those links, or if you want to do something else, I suggest just lie flat on your back, keep your spine straight, keep your arms slightly out to the side, keep your feet approximately hip width apart, but allow them to flop outwards. It's a position called the corpse pose or savasana. Keep your chin slightly tucked in. If you don't feel like lying on the floor or on your bed, you can also just do it in the seated position from Tadasana. And instead of doing a guided meditation, perhaps just go through the relaxing 3-part yogic breathing as we did earlier. Excuse me. These exercises are working. They're hopefully bringing up some fluid from my lungs. I don't believe I've got the coronavirus or any other nasty, but that just goes to show your lungs are permanently clearing fluid. Alright, so if you don't want to do the guided meditation with us or on your own, just spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes just doing that 3-part yogic breathing, but this time as you exhale, just slow down the exhalation so that your exhalation is at least as long as your inhalation and maybe even longer. And just use it as an opportunity to focus on your breathing. On the other hand, if you'd like to join us with one of Mark Williams' meditations, we're doing his meditation number 6. It's in the show notes. I'm now going to say good night. I'll let you get on with the meditation on your own. The way we traditionally close our sessions in these classes is we sit in Tadasana, nice and erect. We scoop our arms around our bodies, raising them up. Bring your palms together above your head. Bring your palms down towards heart center. And we say to one another, Namaste. And I thank you for joining us, especially if you are not a regular member of our Monday classes. You're most welcome. It would be good to see you again.